You're listening to the Miracles in Meat podcast. I'm Shane Thibodaux, a fourth-generation butcher at one of the oldest meat markets in the world. My great-grandfather started this business by slaughtering one cow or pig at a time and selling the cuts door-to-door on horse and buggy. Today, our products are enjoyed across the globe. I will attempt to give you some insight as to how we got here and explore the challenges we've had along the way. At Bourgeois, our mission is to preserve our heritage generation after generation through legendary Cajun flavors and the development of relationships, not customers. Since 1891, Bourgeois has maintained age-old culinary traditions that fuel the South Louisiana lifestyle. Over the past 133 years, our Cajun products have gained global recognition, and for tens of thousands of folks around the world, the Bourgeois Cajun Lady logo is a symbol of home. Today, the fourth-generation butchers sit at the 9-foot maple block with loyal customers to discuss the adventures, skills, and passions that guide each of their legacies. These conversations will become priceless resources for future generations of any industry. This is our way of maintaining the spirit, purpose, and traditions of our lost arts in a world of change. 133 years, 4 generations. We're just getting started. Here we go. This is episode number 8 with Brandon Naquin. The last episode was with Mr. Francis Abair, and in that episode we spoke a lot about a downtown hotspot in Thibodaux called Spahr's. Brandon is actually the general manager of that location on West 4th Street. He began his journey as a graduate of the Chef John Folse Culinary Institute at Nicholls State University here in Thibodaux. Brandon is a third-generation Bourgeois customer and is already passing down that tradition to his boys. And we're going to get into all kind of things, but we're going to talk about his passion for cooking, as well as get into some details about culinary school, management, and customer service. Before we start, I have a little clip I want to play for you. If you go to our website, up at the top, there's a tab that says Explore, and then from there you can click on Podcast. If you click on podcast, you'll see a little form pop up, and that is for you, the listener, to submit a question or a comment to the podcast, something you'd like us to read. And I'm actually going to read for you our first question submission. That's going to be from our good buddy, Byron DeLon. We've known Byron for a long time, family friend. And so, yes, it is a biased review, but it does mean a lot, and it's what he's saying is true, and you know, we take pride in it. So let's have a listen, and then we'll get right into the episode.
I don't have a question for the podcast, but I want to make a statement of fact. Is I travel a lot for work all around the state, and I really like to hit up different meat markets, see their selections, see what they offer, their differing products, and Bourgeois is doing a great job of keeping up with customer demands. But the real thing that y'all do that no one else does is you still display the art and craft of butchery by the fact that when you walk into either market, whether it be the one in Gray or the one in Thibodaux, you still see workers out there producing products in the open environment where you can see them. You know, they cut your meat in front of you. They package things in front of you. You don't put the process back in a closed off, room without the customer interaction. And I think that's what a lot of the meat markets are missing. They don't have that. You don't see the craft or the art of what they're doing displayed. And I think that's a part of, what you offer that others don't is you get that storefront experience. You see the workers, you interact with them, you see what they're doing behind the scenes out in front of you. And I really think that's a special part of what makes Bourgeois Bourgeois.
All right. That was awesome. Really appreciate it, Byron. I can't thank you enough for that. Yeah, if anyone else listening has anything like that you'd like to share, or like I said, just a question or a story, something that happened here, or We'll always love hearing new Pawpaw stories, Mr. Cleve stories, things like that. If you got something, go ahead to the website, go explore, then podcast, then fill out that form. And the easiest way to do it is just use the voice memo app on your iPhone. And you just upload that file and we'll get to it. And let's go. Brandon Naquin. All right, Brandon, we do this with everyone that comes on just because I'm curious and I think it's fun to hear. But tell me about your earliest memories of Bourgeois Meat Market.
So I can remember when I was a little boy, to be honest, I didn't know they had any other sausage in the world unless it was Bourgeois. Every time we made gumbo, we had to stop at Bourgeois to get their smoked sausage. And I remember Mr. Cleve and your granddad going in there, and that was a time when they were able to still butcher hogs in-house. And I always was amazed coming in and looking and, seeing what was happening. And I can always remember your grandfather's saying is, I can cut a pork chop so thin it only has one side. So he was a character, and he and Mr. Cleve, ever since I was a little boy, every time I walked in, they were standing at the counter, either cutting meat or helping guests. So like it was amazing. So that every time we had to go get sausage or hamburgers or something for a barbecue, it was Bourgeois.
That's so cool. So not a lot of people have talked much about Mr. Cleve so far. What do you remember seeing him doing and his spirit and all that? That's what I remember is just a big smile.
Yeah.
I always remember
he was happy man while he was working. And, hindsight looking back, like that was mastery of his craft. Like he knew exactly where to cut, what to cut, how to cut it, and just with ease, just like from early childhood, just seeing, him breaking down an animal and after becoming a chef and, learning about it, like that was a master.
Right.
He understood exactly what he was doing.
It may look random at times to an outsider.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just definitely eye-opening,
right?
Looking back.
Yeah, Mr. Cleve, I would like to get as many stories about him as I can on here, and I'm sure we'll do that when we get into more of our family members, like my mom, my uncles, and all that.
But yeah, you could always see him, in his apron, had some stuff on the apron, and just a really big smile, and just looked like he was happy at work, doing what he was doing.
And I think he was. I wish I had more memories of him, but that is my biggest memory is the smile, and all the stories from Pawpaw, Mr. Cleve stories from Pawpaw. So now, what are some of your favorite products? I know you're in the market probably 3 times a week.
Right. So my little boy only eats Bourgeois sausage and only eats Bourgeois hamburgers. So if we want to cook burgers, I have to come here to get the fair burgers. Mm-hmm. Depending on what I'm cooking, I do a chicken and sausage jambalaya. When I make my jambalayas, I always come get andouille sausage. We love the boudin burritos when we go on swim days. We started off with boudin burritos. When I want to make red beans, you guys smoke some ham hocks for me. And then y'all tasso is really good when I want to do a shrimp and tasso pasta. So I think anything I get from y'all is my favorite because y'all know what y'all doing, and it's consistent, and it's the flavors I grew up with.
And if it's ever not, we want to know.
Absolutely,
come.
That's what we tell everybody. It's always great to get feedback, positive or negative. Mm-hmm. You're only good as the last dish you make or the last product that you put out. So if you hear everything is great when they're in the door, but in public, I went to Bourgeois or I went here or there and I ate there and it wasn't that good. Mm-hmm. Did you explain that or tell somebody, because we can only try to fix it while we're there,
It was great. Doesn't help. It feels, and it's nice, but it doesn't help.
Right.
If you want to really help someone, you tell them that there's a flaw.
Exactly.
What are some of your like personal cooking styles at home? We'll get into the restaurant stuff later, but just you at home with the family and just Wednesday night after swimming.
Right. So I have some really picky eaters. So it's usually like I'll cook one thing for one kid, one thing for another kid, and one thing for my wife and I. Or sometimes we make like 4 different dishes, depending on what we have. But we eat jambalaya at least once a week. My little one can survive on chicken nuggets and french fries. And my oldest, he wants steak like every day.
Steak.
Hey, what you want to eat for dinner? Oh, I'll take a steak and or something. But in the winter, I like to cook some low and slow, some hearty rib sticking, stews and braising and just stuff that fills you up and makes you feel good. And in the summer, try to stay light, chicken breast and chicken thighs. That's one of our favorites is cooking chicken thighs. So
what's like your, what's the skillet or pan you grab more than anything else in the kitchen?
So I have hand-me-down cast iron pots and pans from my grandfather. My dad and mom used them. Now I have them. So if I'm cooking like gumbos or trying to saute some chicken or something, I'll grab those pans pretty regularly. When we got married, we got a set of Emerald cookware, which it's almost restaurant grade quality, which I kind of use pretty often as well.
You do a lot of stainless?
Yeah, although that whole set is stainless, and then I have cast iron. But early on, my wife and I kind of made a rule, and it's a running joke: if it doesn't take a pot and a pan and a cutting board, we don't need to eat it. So we try we try to use as least as possible to make sure that cleanup is easy.
Yeah, I like that. I started using a lot more stainless here. Recently over the past years. I was kind of stuck on cast iron for everything, but I'm kind of finding my way around the stainless.
Right. Cast iron, once it gets hot, it's hot.
Yeah.
Stainless steel retains its heat. It all depends on what you're doing. It's kind of what your cookware should be. But I mean, if you need a go-to every day, stainless is the way to go. Mm-hmm. It's a little maintenance and cleanup's usually easier.
So with the hand-me-downs, I'm sure some of your first influences come from maybe parents, grandparents?
Yes. So every Sunday we had family meal. My grandma would invite my aunts and uncles and all the kids. She would cook Sunday lunch, 11:30, meal was served. Adults ate at the adult table, kids ate at the kids table, and it was an all day, all afternoon, like traverse and conversate and catch up from the week. And then it kind of tapered off after they passed away. And, my mom and dad did that with us, that every Sunday, 11:30, you had to be at their house. So early on, we understood like everything that was important started with food, and
cool.
My mom's mother, she passed away when I was real little. So my grandpa was at our house every day. Like she fed him. So every day, like he would come visit to eat and then stay a little while and visit with us. So like everything that we did as a family kind of revolved around food.
That's so cool.
And like one Sunday out of the month, we would barbecue, and like it looked like we barbecued for days.
Mm-hmm.
We just filled the barbecue pit up, and like we ate on it for like 5 days. But again, that was a hand-me-down barbecue pit that my grandpa made, that my dad used, and I still have it from the 60s, so it was pretty amazing.
So did each of them have that skill or passion, or like mama and papa, or just?
So my grandmother was a great cook. She anything she did, she was great in the kitchen. My grandpa just bought seafood and did barbecue. Same thing with my dad. My mom was the primary cook. My dad bought seafood, and barbecued. I would tell everybody that I knew once I was in culinary school, the reason why I went into culinary school was I needed to find a better way to make gumbo, because my mom made the worst gumbo in the whole entire world. It was terrible. So I was like, I became a chef to learn how to make a better
world.
It was terrible. However, I
gotta try this gumbo.
However, it did have bourgeois sausage in it. So like we all picked out the sausage and we ate that and some of the meat with the rice, and that was it, All
right. So we hate the gumbo, but what's one dish from each of those people that you really remember?
Right. So my grandmother would make pot fried chicken, and it's kind of like sticky chicken. We called it pot fried chicken. It was that, white beans, and ball top meat and ball potatoes. That was the meal. Mm-hmm. You'd call up and be like, "Hey, grandma, I'm hungry." Well, come after school. And then the whole kitchen would be full, and she would make your plate, and she's like, "All right, start eating." And then after that, it's like, all right, I'm full. No, you're not. Have some more. Like
Yeah.
she would cut the chicken into 12 pieces, and like just it was like just chicken kept coming. So that's her favorite, or my favorite dish that she made was the pot fried chicken with the rice, and she did butter beans. My mom, she made the most amazing turkey, and we actually had turkey other than Thanksgiving. So like holidays,
Okay.
a random Sunday, we would have a turkey. And like everybody was like, your mom makes the best turkey in the whole entire world, which that was great. It was good. And then after that, it came turkey and sausage gumbo. But
All right.
it was like, oh, I just want the turkey. No, we're going to have gumbo. All right. Well, we're going to do the same thing. Just pick out the turkey and the sausage, and then that's it, you know?
You still making these dishes?
I do. So when my grandmother got sick, I decided to go one Thanksgiving and watch her make her famous cornbread dressing. And she's like, you need to put this. I'm like, whoa, stop. I'm going to measure everything. I'm going to write it down, the procedures, the amounts, the everything from start to finish. So I wrote it all down. She passed away a couple of years later. I'm like, man, I'm hungry for it. I got an envie. I'm going to make it. So I pulled out the recipe. I made it. You know, I took one bite and I'm like, this ain't it. And I threw it away. I literally, I threw it away. And my uncle was like, what are you doing? I'm like, that's not grandma's cornbread dressing. It tastes like doo-doo. So I'm not going to serve it to you. He's like, well, we would have ate it. I'm like, no, that's not it.
Isn't it weird that you have that? And some people don't have that.
Yeah.
Whatever made you do that, I have the same thing. But whatever that is, some people don't have. They don't understand it.
Yeah. I'm like, that wasn't it. So like,
I can't let you put this in your mouth.
Right. It wasn't good. So I tried it again for Thanksgiving and like for Christmas. And I'm like, it's close, but it's not it. But it's close. So I let them try it and they're like, we can't tell the difference. I'm like, yo, just being nice. I know the difference. I don't know what she did when I turned around, what she added to it, what she put in, what she said. She's probably laughing, but this ain't grandma's cornbread dressing.
They keep secrets.
They do.
That's 100%.
It's crazy. Just
my
like
mom keeps secrets. My aunts keep secrets. Papa kept secrets.
Right. Just like they didn't want you to understand or hear something, so they would talk in French. You know, and I grew up really close to my grandmother, and she had sisters, and we would hang out on the weekends. You know, they would play cards and do old lady things, and we would come hang out with them, and like they would talk in English, and as soon as they didn't want us to hear something, they would switch up in French. And then one of my sisters one time's like, I don't want to go with you. And they're like, why? Because they speak Chinese. You know, and grandma's like, that's not Chinese, it's Cajun French. And I'm like, well, why don't you teach us? She said, well, we don't want y'all to know what we're talking about. So it's like, you know, it was a lost language now.
My grandma on my Thibodaux side, my dad's mom, she only spoke French. And I would get dropped off there when I was little, you know, very little,
right?
5, 6, 7. And it's like they didn't know that I didn't speak French. That's how they talked to me.
Right.
They only spoke in French. I didn't know any of it, but it didn't stop them.
Right. Exactly.
It talked to me all day.
Yeah. And then they would say tete, and you knew that you were a hard head.
That's good. So tell me a little bit about your family. I know you got some boys. I've kind of gotten to watch them grow up, actually.
Absolutely.
As you're in and out of the market.
So they are fourth generation customers. I have two. One's Tyler, he's 12, and one Sawyer, he just made 9. Like you said, they've been going to Bourgeois since they were born. Yeah. And it's nice to see like the customer service that you guys give them. Like they open up the door and your staff is like, hey, Tyler, Sawyer, let me get you some beef jerky. And then the next thing you know, like they're rattling off exactly what they want. Not like, not
here's what I'm here for.
Not specifically what I'm like buying, but it's like, here's the stuff that I want to get while I'm here. Like, hey, I want some beef jerky, or hey, I got some beef sticks, you know, and it's like,
it's gonna be so cool, man. The first time you see them pull up in their truck,
right,
and get out like that, like they're the man.
Yeah. And that's what they do. Like they open up the door and they're like, hey, Miss Stacy, or you know, I need it. I want this, and this. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, you know,
cool,
why not? Why not?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What are some So tell me more about the family. What do y'all like to do? Maybe outside of cooking, and how's the family work?
Both my wife and I work, so we like never see each other. We kind of ships in the night some days. But when we all get together, we try to do some sort of family activity at least once a week. That way, we can kind of just keep up with each other and keep up how everything's growing. Both of my boys are swimmers, and we swim 5 days a week, so they get to run their energy out.
They swim. Not we.
Yes, they swim. They have been swimming since they were, Sawyer since he was 2 and Tyler since he was 4. And they've really become really good swimmers. My in-laws have a pool, and on Sundays we would swim recreationally, and then we started swimming. We used to do a race where whoever wins gets to pick supper. Well, now, sad to say, I will lose if we do that contest anymore. So we don't. That way, like, I don't have to let them win and pick what they want to eat for supper. But no, they start in 6th grade and 3rd grade this year. So they're excited for school and can't wait to see them grow up and see what they can accomplish. We want them to be productive members of society.
Sure.
So, we trying to raise them the right way and all that fun stuff. But, it is what it is in this day and age,
Yeah. I think they'll do well.
Yeah.
You're also in the fire department.
I am.
The Thibodaux Fire. Let's hear some more about that.
So I'm the 4th generation volunteer fireman. My family was really big, is still really big in fire company number 1. That's the station that's downtown. So, it's really good to give back to the community. And our family, kind of had a little tradition of, when you turn 18, you join the fire department. My life was kind of crazy when I was 18, so I kind of didn't go that path. I bounced in and out every once in a while, but lately I've kind of jumped back in and found my place and found my role. They get to have a chef cook meal once a month. So I think our membership has grown just because on Monday they get to get a good meal, and it's a great brotherhood. We really, really think of each other as brothers and sisters. We fight like brothers and sisters. We always supportive. It's a really good organization that I'm proud to be part of.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Thibodaux is the largest volunteer in the U.S.?
It is one of, if not the largest volunteer fire department in the country.
And what's that look like on a number?
So we're a little over 500 active members.
In Thibodaux. Just Thibodaux. And there's Shriever right down the road. There's Chack Bay,
St. John.
Right. So Thibodaux has 500 active members.
Right. And we just kicked off our 150th year of the Thibodaux Volunteer Fire Department.
Whew.
So it's, this great organization has been protecting Thibodaux for 150 years.
So cool.
Is unbelievable.
There's some pictures of my grandpa, I believe, on the first Thibodaux fire truck.
Mm-hmm.
You got some old pictures with that thing somewhere. I can maybe dig them up and maybe link them to this if I can.
Yeah.
So you said you didn't go the fire route. What were you thinking in high school?
So in high school, I was actually, going to be a nurse, and then I had some family illness and family deaths, and it was like that's not for me, and I kind of did some soul searching and figured out what am I passionate about? And growing up, I was a fat kid. I loved food, and all those memories that surrounded the dinner table or the stove or the barbecue pit, like it just kind of lit something in me. Like I need to explore that a little bit more. And then I went to talk to a couple of people in the culinary school and realized I graduated in 2003, so that would be 99. The program was just kind of kicking off and gaining steam, and that was the era of the Food Network where they had all the celebrity chefs. So that whole industry kind of piqued my interest. So that kind of started the passion.
Was there someone you looked up to at that point?
Yeah, so I had a really good conversation with one of the chefs, Chef Caslow, who's he became a mentor, a friend, a confidant. He was almost like your second dad. He was truly concerned and genuinely wanted you to succeed, and like personal life, also professionally, like he just wanted you to do well, which like he was amazing. Like you would go in and he could see like you were having a bad day and he's all like, let's go have a cup of coffee and a cigarette, and he would light a cigarette walking out the kitchen. Like, let's go talk. And then you look, and then you knew it was like, great, it's going to be a 45-minute conversation with Chef Caslow, and it's going to be rough.
And that's someone you met in high school.
Yeah.
And then, so obviously that kind of is what got you motivated towards culinary. And then you graduate, and did you go straight to Nicholls?
So yeah, I graduated. I was working at Rouse's at the time. I did a whole bunch of things from buggy pushing to working in the meat department, working in the office. And I worked at Rouse's, and they had a scholarship that they offered for culinary students. So I was thankful and grateful enough to receive that scholarship while I was working for them. So it was kind of like, let's just go that route, see where it goes.
And what's it like? Which I don't know. As an outsider, I can't imagine what a culinary course is like.
Right?
Is it heavy book?
So when we started in the culinary school, we were in Go Hall, the corner of Go Hall. So it was a very small, tight knit kitchen, and so you can either get a bachelor or an associate's degree, which you have to take your sciences, your maths, your Englishes, as well as a couple of business courses, as well as culinary classes. So you got a real well-rounded education, and being in culinary, there's a lot of math involved, with recipes, and especially in bacon where there's formulas that you have to use. If you start off with a recipe that's this small and you need to do it for 1,000 people, there's a bunch of conversions you have to do to make that happen. So, you have to be pretty proficient in math, and being able to speak to people. You needed speech, right? And if you wanted to run a business or be a chef, you had to know some financial information. It's a lot more than just cooking something and put it on the plate, right? Because your product is what you're trying to sell. So you need to figure out that it costs this much and I need to make this much to keep the air conditioner on, so you gotta, it's a business as well as an orchard. As well as art,
right.
It's a lot that goes on, and they were able to teach us proper techniques, sanitation, proper techniques, what flavors go with what flavors, and then we always had the running joke is in culinary school the best thing is you get to eat your homework, and the worst thing that you have to do is eat your homework. Sometimes we had great dishes, and sometimes it was like, yeah, don't eat that. It's not good.
Yeah.
So,
is it heavy into like the chemistry of flavors and combinations of acids and stuff?
Right.
That's what I think.
So
of.
it's like it's a balance. You have to understand like what the ingredients do. If you're gonna add salt, it's gonna not just be salt, it's going to enhance whatever other flavors you have. Or if you want to add a specific herb, if you want to roast a chicken, you want to elevate it a little bit, add a little bit of rosemary, a little bit of thyme, and that'll elevate the flavor a little bit. If you want a licorice flavor, you can add star anise or some Pernod, or it's just a lot of experimenting and visualizing like what I want to put in this dish to make it turn out the way it does, and thankfully we have a lot of great Cajun Creole instructors, and that's what it's based off of, and just like in Cajun cooking, everything starts off with onion, celery, and bell pepper, right? And you add garlic. But there's a lot more flavors that are out there that you can kind of find or discover or, on accident discover and be like, wow, that's great.
And do you get to play with that a lot at Nicholls, or is it kind of centralized around Creole Cajun?
So first, it's really diverse now, which is great. They have the new building, but basically it's starting with the basics, and then it builds upon there. And then depending on which course you take is kind of where your flavor palettes are developed. So like they'll have classical French cuisine, some Asian, some baking, and different classes where, you know, they explain, like your first semester, you'll learn about sauces and herbs and, you know, how to cook vegetables correctly and butcher meat and all that stuff. And then you kind of, it's a building block where you kind of build your flavor profile that you kind of like to use.
And what was your kind of focus? What were you interested in?
So I did, funny story, I did an ice carving class. And yeah, that was fun.
A real thing.
It's not. It's definitely like winter's coming. But our instructor was from Dallas, and he has an ice carving and sushi business. So back in 2000, sushi wasn't that popular in this area, right? But he would make us sushi, and it was like, that's interesting, you know. And me being from the bayou, right? How you eat fish, fried. What you mean? I can eat raw fish, you know. And then he just kind of opened up that avenue, and it's like, this is pretty interesting, you know. So, you know, that's one of the memories I have. Our classical French class, we would do a 7-course meal, and we would pull out the hat of what course you had. Well, 7 out of 8 times I pulled the soup course. So I learned how to make a lot of soup.
Right.
And my wife loves me for it. And I think everybody else does too, because I come up with some really unique soups.
I've actually had one of your unique soup.
Right.
Yeah. You brought over some andouille sweet potato bisque.
Right.
And I've made it since.
Right.
And it's awesome.
It's awesome. Like, and you never think like andouille and sweet potato. What is he thinking? But it tastes like ham. Like,
great.
You're having ham soup, you know, and learning all those techniques in class. Like, you can substitute ingredients, you can make new flavors, you can make something new, you know, as long as you know the technique, you can kind of change it up. You know, you don't always have to do broccoli and cheese. You know, you can make cauliflower and bacon, you know, Jerusalem artichoke, cream of asparagus. You know, it's just using the technique and different ingredients to make different flavors.
The sushi stuff sounds interesting. I've never gotten into like making the sushi. I do a lot of fresh fish, but I was talking about this with someone the other day. I believe you understand all the cuts,
right?
Say of a tuna,
right,
and what they're used for, and their specifics and the flavor profile of each and the texture, all that. Is that where you learned all that?
So I learned a little bit of that, and then I had a lot of on-job training. I actually did sushi for Rouse's for about 6 years, and I also helped open up Zen Sushi in Houma.
Love some Zen.
Yeah, way back in the Gap. So, yeah, I'll make sushi. Just go out to a sushi restaurant. There's,
okay.
there's a lot that goes on in preparation to make a simple roll. You know, from doing the sanitation is 100% because you're actually eating raw product, right? So it has to be safe to eat. And then making the rice, they say like the first 1,000 don't count. So you have to make at least 1,000 pots of rice in order for it to like start coming out correctly, which sometimes it works, sometimes it's great, but you gotta know what you gotta do to correct it.
Right.
And just kind of rolling it is a little different, as well as like what to put in the roll to complement each flavor. You know, you need something fatty, something, you know, crunchy. It's a lot of texture, a lot of flavor. You know, you have in one bite, so you want to get all that in one mouthful, you know.
Any favorite sushi restaurants?
So I have a couple. We used to go to Tsunami, and then Yakuza House. We stumbled upon that last year. We went to the LRA show, and he was breaking down a tuna, and we went eat at his place, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
like it's the real deal.
I haven't been.
Make a reservation. My
wife goes to Kano.
Yeah,
I haven't been there either.
Yeah, but after doing it for like 6 years, it's like I really don't want to eat that. But I will, you know, and I used to have some friends we would get together and it would be like, hey, you making sushi? And I'm like, you're an accountant, you doing my books, And so they would show up with like rice and fish and stuff and be like, hey, let's have a sushi party,
Yeah. Look, I ate a boudin burrito yesterday, so I know.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. Sometimes,
hey, dude, a boudin burrito is just what the soul needs.
Not after 6 years.
Right.
All right. Was it easy, the schooling?
No.
Was it hard?
It was challenging. We had a small facility, just timing, and it took your life, we were at the point where like it was almost like we were working in the kitchen, where we had big block classes. So you would be in the kitchen from 7 a.m. till noon.
And then, is it, oh, hey, everyone, watch this. Watch what I'm doing. Now you do it. Is
right.
that how it is?
Yeah. It was a lot of like almost on the job training kind of thing. We did some class lecture, and then, they explained what we're going to do, and then they demonstrated it, and then like you have to do it, like deboning a chicken.
Mm-hmm.
They showed you how to do it, and then like everybody gets a chicken. Let's go ahead and debone it,
Do they also, I'm assuming they also, have a functioning kitchen and kitchen crew, and they teach you how that works and what you need, what makes up a kitchen crew, and who needs to be where and doing what.
So when I was in school, my senior level, we ran a restaurant, and it was our bistro. They still do it now. It's a little bit different, but you and your team would design a menu, make out the recipes, do everything like you were working in a restaurant, and you were the boss. You had service, and people paid to come eat, just like a real restaurant. Everybody came in, and they ordered, and you had to cook it, you and your classmates. So you would say, this person is going to be sauteing, this one's going to be making salad, these guys are going to do dessert, you're going to be busting suds, the whole gauntlet. And you were graded on the service. Did everybody enjoy their food?
Mm-hmm.
Did it take too long? How much y'all burnt? All that stuff that goes on in a real restaurant, was kind of like that was the benchmark on
mm-hmm.
how well or how poorly you perform.
Any fights?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we have a saying like between rush, whatever I say to you, it ends at the end of rush. Like,
sure.
I had some people, I hated them from 6:45 to 8 o'clock. We would curse at each other and call every name in the book. But like 8:30, when it slowed down, we would go outside, sit on milk crates, grab a soda, and like nothing happened. Because, it's high energy, high paced, high volume. You just gotta like roll with the punches, so to speak. And like usually by the end of the night, it's like, yeah, you are an idiot. I am an idiot, but we're going to be back at 9 o'clock in the morning to do all this all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of one of those things that we kind of understand in between people in the industry. Like, we may say some harsh stuff during
mm-hmm.
service, but it's just because
I still love you.
Yeah, I still love
mm-hmm.
you. It's
mm-hmm.
just a high stress environment, and like you messed up, like and it's like, yep, and it's a lot of accountability and ownership. Like, yeah, I screwed up 2 steaks, which I messed up the whole ticket, and then I had to start all over, and then it put us behind, and next thing you know, 12 people showed up, and like now we're in the weeds, and we can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's how it should be anywhere, man.
Yeah.
If something's wrong and you know it to be wrong, you ought to be able to say it.
Right.
And then the problem gets fixed and everyone's better for it.
Right.
It's just, here, we have a job to do. If I don't fix this issue, the job won't be done right.
Correct.
Maybe I could be a little more polite, but if it's wrong, it's wrong, and I have to say it.
Right. And we chefs have a notoriety for being hotheads, so
mm-hmm.
we're just passionate about what we're doing. We think of our craft as like artistry, and it's very an intimate act. You're cooking for someone, and you hoping that they enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
So you put in your passion, your blood, your sweat, your tears, your years of in the industry on this one plate, and you want it to be perfect, and then you hope the person right next to you is that passionate enough to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, like, we not working in the same area. So, like,
Yeah.
put it up, you know?
Yeah. Did you find yourself maybe early on sort of imitating your mentors, or maybe whatever celebrity chefs that you maybe watch? Is that like the first step, is like, I need to, this is my favorite person, and I need to get like them?
You gotta find your passion, find your mark. I have a really stern look. I mean, everybody thinks I'm not the nicest person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta, and I'm dry. I'm very, very dry, like toast dry. So, like, you got to get to know me and, like, my body language and the way I speak. But, like, I'm very soft, a very kind-hearted person. It's the way you approach things is kind of what you got to deal with. Like I said, I look very stern, but, like, you having a bad day, we go on a milk crate and we're going to figure it out, because it's not just a job, it's family. Like, bunch of restaurants. The restaurant I was in, we did family meal. Before service, we cooked a little something for everybody to eat, or let them order something. And we, before we opened the doors, we, enjoyed a meal and, did our game plan like we're preparing for war,
Mm-hmm.
and then going from there. So, if you work with people for 6 months, a year, a little longer, they kind of become part of your family, because you're going to see them more than you're going to see your family,
That's right.
Working 40 to 80 hours a week.
That's right.
And either, like, you're a psychopath or you love what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
To work all those long hours and put up with all that abuse from guests and customers and employers and employees and, the general public.
Mm.
But, if you're passionate about it, you'll learn, like, what to take from it.
Mm-hmm. What's the progression look like? What are you looking forward to? Say you're coming out of Nicholls Culinary. What are you looking forward to? Like, does everyone there want to open their own restaurant? Does someone want to move to Italy and work for so-and-so?
So, thankfully, like, Nicholls has a really good network of knowing people, knowing chefs, knowing people in the industry, and they kind of do job fairs and whatnot. They also are connected with a couple other culinary schools, so you can go to school in France at the Paul Bocuse School, which is one of the world-renowned culinary schools, and learn from the chefs over there. We had one classmate, he backpacked through Europe working at restaurants, and now he has 4 restaurants in the city. We have some people that went the corporate route. They're working at hotels, casinos, hotels. Some are business owners, some are food bloggers. We have some bakers, just all walks of the industry. Some people have graduated culinary school and are doing something totally different.
Right.
It's one of the crazy things is you get a 4-year degree to make $15 an hour, when you first start out, because, nobody really wants to hire somebody straight out of culinary school. They some people have a little chip on the shoulder. I graduated culinary school. You put them in the kitchen. It's, they can't cook out of a paper bag. Some of them are a little bit more inapt. It's just, student by student is kind of where we are with them. But, it was a great experience for me. I graduated culinary school. I worked for Rouse's. They opened up the Quiznos subs. I did that for a while. Then I went to their wine department, and then we started this sushi program here in Houma, and then eventually moved to Thibodaux, and then I parted ways with the company. But it all depends on where you are, and I want to kind of stay close to home. So, I want to stay close to home, stay close to family. So I just found a couple places here and there, to kind of learn my craft, hone my craft, to become a better chef,
What makes Nicholls Culinary special? Is it seriously just the Creole?
It's a lot different now. It's definitely the staff and, like, what you can learn. Also, Nicholls is one of the only places that you can get a state accredited culinary degree. It's backed up by the state. Some of these other culinary schools, if they close tomorrow, theoretically, your degree is nothing. You might have the skills, but it's nothing on paper. But it's a state funded college degree, and it's a state-of-the-art kitchen that they made, and it's kind of like the Cadillac of kitchens.
I'd love to see that.
that you can learn your craft, and then you go into some little mom and pop restaurant. It's like, well, where's this and that? Oh, we don't have that. We got a stove. We got a stove and an oven.
Where's the air fryer?
Yeah, make it happen. Where's the sous vide machine? Oh, we don't sous vide here.
Yeah, keeping it simple, right?
Right.
I like to keep it simple. We keep everything simple here. I like to do that at home as well. Same thing goes for recipes, and everyone assumes you need a crazy secret recipe. Well, the secret oftentimes is like, well, there's nothing in it. That's the secret.
Yeah, it's ingredients.
You're tasting the meat or the fish or the vegetable or whatever it is. That's what you're tasting.
You buy the best ingredients. You use the right technique, and the roadmap is the recipe. You'll get there. But you got to start off with quality ingredients.
There's no point in buying or working hard to get high quality fish if you're gonna soak it in garlic and whatever other flavors.
Or get a steak from Bourgeois and marinate it in an Italian dressing. And that's if that's you. But why mask a restaurant quality steak with Italian dressing when all you need is salt and pepper? And let it shine,
Simple.
Just keep it. Well, we have a saying, KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you use the best ingredients and treat them respectfully, and you're going to make a good dish.
Do you have, so you talked about you're heavy on the soups, but do you have your own kind of style or maybe flavor profile? Like if your wife tasted something, would she know it's yours? Would she know Brandon cooked this?
Yep. Or she has the, hey, taste this, make it at the house. Or I saw this recipe or heard about this. Can you make this?
Mm-hmm.
She saw somewhere a year ago, candied jalapenos. She's all like, oh, we ought to try that. Or this place was having candied jalapenos. Let's get some. And I'm like, I can make that. So, so we make candied jalapenos, and now it's like every 3 months I have to make 5 pounds worth of candied jalapenos, and people are like, hey, when you got some of those jalapenos, I want to get some for you. So like I'll stop at the little Spanish market and buy up all their jalapenos, and they're like, what are you doing with all these?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, making candied jalapenos. So
did you grow up hunting or fishing at all?
I did a little hunting, a little fishing, just like everybody in the bayous in South Louisiana.
Were y'all into that kind of camp lifestyle?
It was
family.
We did like side of the road or somebody's field every once in a blue moon kind of fishing. I married into a camp, so I have use of a camp now in Dulac. And we do some saltwater fishing. We take the boys out. My father-in-law graciously enough, hosts us, and we go and we fish, and I clean the fish, they clean the boat, and then we always have at least a fish fry while we're there. And nothing tastes better than redfish or sheep's head, straight out the water on the back dock when the breeze is blowing and you drinking beer,
Yeah. So we hunt a lot, and we go to we had Uncle Donald's camp often, and one of the special things about the camp is cooking at the camp,
right?
And kind of the mentality we have is like, we're just going to use whatever's there,
right? So
whatever we kill something or bring something, we just try to bring minimal and then use whatever else was already in the freezer.
Correct.
And
so we always bring a little bag of fish just in case, and we bring some French fries, and we bring a French bread and a couple onions, and if we're gonna cook, if we have a bunch of friends and neighbor campers that are there, we'll try to cook something special. But that's usually my invite to someone's camp is, hey, we going to the camp, you want to come? And can you come cook for us? And then
yes,
absolutely, sure.
Yeah.
Or like I don't have a lot of time to do some hunting and stuff, but it's all like, hey, I killed 2 deers this weekend. Would you help me butcher them? I'm like, dude, my fee. A pack of sausage, in the backstrap, and I will help you with your deer. And couple wild pigs and whatnot. But usually, like, that's my fear is I'll help you, and grew up willing to or learning like you help your neighbor. And that goes back to the fire department. You're helping your neighbor, member of the Knights of Columbus, you help your neighbor. So just trying to instill that in that was instilled to me, trying to instill it to my boys is, you always help somebody out.
So that camp cooking, that's kind of how I try to cook at home. I like to wing it. And I think I got that from she never has a recipe for anything. Again, she's lying. To be fair, she's lying.
She probably has about 12 cookbooks and like a whole bunch of stuff
she's
written
just
down.
Not giving it to
there.
me.
Yeah.
So I'll ask her how to cook whatever, so-and-so soup or whatever. And I never really paid attention. Let me see if I can try to write some of it down.
Right.
Which is always a lie because it never tastes like hers. But it's taught me to just kind of use what's in the kitchen, and I'm not afraid to turn the fire on before I know what I have.
Right.
And I love that.
Right.
To me, that's what my passion is in cooking, is like, I like running around the kitchen and opening the fridge and running to the deep freezer and like, all right, I'll just use this instead. I love that. That's fun.
It's kind of like Chopped,
Yeah.
You gotta, hey, I got this to start with. What am I cooking? Usually like when I say, hey, I'm going to cook, I'm like, all right, what's on sale? Let's figure something out.
Right. And that's cool. Yeah. That's a good way to do it. I don't mind inviting friends over.
Yeah. Right.
Doing that.
Right.
Pulling it on my ass.
And, and being a chef, being invited to somebody's house, it's like, oh, I don't want you to eat this, whatever. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm here. Like, I'm just your friend. Like, I eat hot dogs. Like, I can only have a bologna sandwich when I'm at the camp. Like, I eat bologna sandwiches. It's not everything has to be 5-star or good. It has to be restaurant quality. Like, I eat just like everybody else. For years my supper consisted of a Little Debbie and a glass of milk. Or a sandwich, and that's what I ate. I'm cooking steaks all night long. I get home on a Little Debbie, a glass of milk, and a cold shower, and go to bed because I got to do it back at 8:00 in the morning. So it's a little intimidating if somebody invites a chef over, but it's like, look, we eat just like everyone else.
We eat crap.
Yeah.
We're in Bo's office right now, and if you look on that bookshelf, there's 2 whole cases of Vienna sausage.
Yeah.
So Bo has access to all of the best stuff that you can find around.
Right.
What does he eat for lunch? Right. Vienna sausage.
Yeah.
That should tell you the secret there.
Well, that's just like a mechanic, right? They don't want to work on their cars. It's like, you guys work with smoked meats and product all day long. You don't want to have that.
Yeah.
You might just want a Vienna sausage out of a can.
Back to the schooling. How competitive is it between students? Is there like everyone's striving to be top dog?
So they do have a little gauntlet system that I kind of incurred. Who's the best at this? Who's the best at that? There's always like the bosses where they want to control, and there's the workers. So it's kind of like depending on what group it was, and the chefs kind of like figured out their personalities, and like you're the boss, right? You're gonna go work with the hardest person who can't get along with himself, and it just kind of broke up the diversity where, like, in the real world, what happens, right? You might have somebody that's mentally unstable, or somebody who's really passionate about what they're doing, or like somebody who's just here for a job. You don't know their work ethic, but you have to work with them. So like, it was kind of like a little psychology while you were working. Sure. and figuring out like how to work with people, how to talk to people, and figuring out like, okay, I'm terrible at decorating cakes. Like, terrible. I had a classmate that decorated one of my cakes for me. She hated to butcher meat, so I did her butchering. She decorated my cake. So like, it was find out what you're good at, and surround yourself with people that things that you're not good at that they're good at, and then you're gonna wind up.
That's a business, man.
Yeah, you're gonna wind up being successful.
Yep. If you can understand that at a young age,
Right.
you can be very successful.
And
Sure.
of course you want to be the best out of everything, but in hindsight, like, I realize I suck at decorating cakes. I can bake cakes all day long. Putting them, decorating them, it was a different. I don't have the patience to do it. So, even now when somebody's like, "Hey, bake me a cake and decorate it," so like it's gonna
So
be.
you go to Rouse's and you buy.
It's gonna be very minimally decorated. It's gonna be delicious. However, it won't look like Ace of Cakes.
All right, so kind of switching from the in the kitchen to maybe like over the kitchen. I know right now. So what's your role at Spahr's right now?
So at Spahr's right now, I'm the general manager of the downtown location, which at that role, I am in charge of the whole restaurant, the kitchen, as well as the front of the house service, and leading the brand of the restaurant there. So we're very passionate about what we do and who we are. And, it comes out on every plate of catfish chip or every Bloody Mary we serve.
I love Spahr's.
Yeah.
Spahr's is a big staple in our, in our family. It's one of those generational places for us.
Absolutely.
My grandpa was there every morning. I'm sure you've seen his face a lot. We used to, all the cousins, we would go at like 5 a.m. every Wednesday. We did that for maybe, I don't know, a year or two. And it was just a place we would all, we were all married and, having our first kids, some of us second kids. And it was like the one time we can all get together and chit chat and
grab a cup of coffee and a biscuit and solve all the world's problems or figure out what your problem of the day was.
And why were we doing that is because our role models, Papa and our uncles and Mr. Francis and all those old guys we see, they're there before us.
Right.
And they're there more than us. So that's just like challenging us. Like, okay, if they're 90 years old and they're finding value in going to Spahr's with their buddies every morning, there's got to be something to it. It'd be easier not to, but maybe we should try it.
Right.
If they're saying that's the smartest thing to do, maybe we should try it.
There's some interesting conversations that goes on every morning at that table, and it's unbelievable. And it's all different walks of life, all different age groups. They start off with the oldly retired, then next thing is the newly retired, and then it's the working man, and it's like you said, it's generational. One will get up, one will replace a seat. It's like the adult table and the kiddie table.
Right.
It co-mingles together. And, we at Spahr's, we provide a caveat for that, and sometimes we get in the conversation with them, because we want to show them like we generally care about all of our guests, and especially the ones that come like every day. For instance, Mr. Francis just celebrated his birthday. We made him a birthday cake. We made him a birthday cake because you can only turn 96 once,
right?
And he was upset that we made a fuss about it, but like. You kind of like our papa, everybody loves you, you opinionated, and we love you, and we just want to just show you, at least one time that somebody else is caring about you.
Right. But man, how special is that? You can't just open up a business and have it be the resident mastermind location. You know what I mean?
That is a problem we have every day is, we open the doors and in restaurant wine, the industry wine is you open up the door, you don't know what's coming in. You don't know if you're going to be super busy. You don't know if you're going to be, begging for customers to come in. It's just, you have to find your niche. And I think downtown has the knowing and the calling of like, it's a place where it's home, or it's in the extension of your home where you can come and sit down and have a cup of coffee and not be rushed for your day. Or if you're in a rush, you can come in and out, and everybody comes in at the same time. They do it's routine, and it's sometimes that's what some people need is they need a routine. They need to hang out, they just want to, want to talk to somebody, like Mr. Francis, he's an elderly gentleman. He's really doesn't talk to, he doesn't have anybody at home. So all of his interaction is in public, right? So, if he can come and have a cup of coffee, spend an hour or two just chit chatting, and, the other guests that are there kind of like jug them on sometimes and all that fun stuff, but it's all in good fun, but it makes his day, and I'm pretty sure it makes everybody else's day.
Sure. It's cool how, it's very uncommon to have such, it's kind of a historical place, and it's sort of a landmark around here, and you get a lot of tourists. I'm sure you get a lot of parents from Nicholls and the hospital, and you're getting people from all over. So you sort of balancing between a tourist location and the half of the room was here yesterday.
Right.
It's like, that's pretty uncommon, because a place that's heavy tourism, the locals are not going to want to go, but y'all kind of are able to balance
able to
it,
capture that audience. Yeah, we have the Man in Passing Academy every year. We had one family that this was their quote unquote last year here. Their child's turning a senior, like they were on the verge of tears, like, we're never coming back. And I'm like, we'll still be here. Y'all can come, even though they're not Man in Passing Academy. But like, they would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day that they were here, and they did that for 5 years.
Right.
And they were like,
no more Spahrs, man. This is the last year.
Yeah, this is our last year. So I'm like,
that's cool.
There's Mardi Gras. Y'all can come anytime. Like, y'all don't have to like make a reservation or make plans, or Thibodaux's still here. You can come and eat. It's just, and like the first and second year that they came, they thought like it was just a show. Like all the hospitality and all the things but it's the way we are. We want to have hospitality at its finest level. We want to exceed our guest experiences, and we can appreciate all those things that, some tourists come in because they heard about us. That means we're doing something right, or those repeat customers that come in all the time, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
And it's, we are definitely like living our brand values.
Yeah.
And that's what's so vital with mom and pops or independently owned locations, is like, you have to do it right 100% of the time. And or make it right away. Make it right. Because you don't want to hear on the street, or like you in Rouse's, I had a bad experience somewhere, and you're like 2 hours over, and
yeah.
What you mean you didn't like my Bourgeois hamburgers? It's like, you want to stop and have that conversation. Like, what did we do wrong?
Yeah.
How can I fix it?
Get in my truck.
Because it's not like, we want you to be happy. We want you to be satisfied with your with our product. Like, what did we do wrong? And how can we correct it and make sure that we want to be back in your good graces?
Right. In some places, to give them another chance. In some places, it's not.
You write them up.
It's not worth it. But yeah, as far as is that type of place, for me, I'm always comfortable and never had anything go wrong. But I know if something were to go wrong, it's a simple fix.
Right. As long as you let someone know, we are 100% sure to fix it, or at least attempt to.
So what was it like transitioning from the stove to the books and hiring and
so I went from Rouse's. I worked at a hotel for a little bit, and then left there and worked at a restaurant in Vacherie for about 10.5 years, which I was the chef and the manager. So I kind of was everything, and I had 10 years of on-the-job training at that location. So, and I'm a very people person. I like to talk to people, and I also want to make sure you're enjoying yourself while you're here, with the culture and what you're eating and whatnot. So, to be able to talk to tables and all that stuff, it kind of started becoming second nature to me. I do miss playing on the stove and coming up with dishes and, getting that adrenaline working. But, it's different to see the other side of the table, or the other side of the pass, to where you're interacting with the guest, and you're checking to make sure that whatever came out of the kitchen, they're enjoying. We always look for empty plates. It's a little hard at Spahr's because we give you a great value and a great portion, but if it's an empty plate, either you were hungry, it was good, or you were good and hungry. So that's a telltale sign that like we did our job, and that's what we look for. And, we just really want to be personable with our guests and learn from them. You never know what their day is when they walk through the door, and you're just hoping like this one meal can either cheer you up, console you,
Sure.
Revitalize you, fill you up, with nourishment, and like hopefully you have a food memory, from it. And that's what we strive to do.
Dude, it's wild because, you take a server who is they just want to make money and that's it.
Right.
They just want a paycheck. They want to get the hell out of there. They don't care about this. They don't care about that. And then in comes, 30-year-old guy and his 100-year-old grandpa. And this might be the last meal they have together. She don't know that, or he don't know that.
Correct.
So you got to treat it all like,
right.
What if, who do you want to be? What kind of mark do you want to make?
Right. So, servers are tipped employees. Tips stand for to ensure prompt service, right? So the guest is giving you a gift from the service that was given by you. So you should want to put your everything in that table or into every guest, not only to benefit you, but to understand like you're serving this person, like you're catering to their needs.
You're putting, and I tell this to some of our folks as well, like on the service, on the, counter service. Maybe you don't want to be here forever. Maybe you want to be here for 6 more months, and that's fine. And yes, I and we want you to give good service, but what if you give great service and the guy you're serving, I don't know, is the hiring manager for Danos,
right?
And he can't stop thinking about you, and he comes give you a job.
Well, look at
that
Phil.
Puts you right where you want to be, right?
Look at Phil Cass.
Exactly,
it's a perfect story. Or for us, we have the hospital right there. Like you never know if a person's coming to eat and just got diagnosed with cancer, and they're down in their dumps, but like. The server comes up with a great smile, gives you a cup of coffee, chit-chat you with a little bit, and then, it kind of brightens up your day, and, you have the best French toast you've ever had,
right.
And it could make you stop thinking about that bad diagnosis that you had, or like giving you the will to change or do something. So you never know what the person that's sitting in the chair that you're about to service, what's going on with them. So like you just want to make sure like you hold to your brand standards and you offer some great hospitality.
What's the hardest part? What really stresses you out? Which struggles do you have?
So, in this industry, staffing is really, really difficult. This day and age is to, hire the right staff, retain them, train them, get them to do, standards. Sometimes it's like you got to do at least the bare minimum. We want you to succeed a little bit more, but you have to do at least the bare minimum. And sometimes that's a little difficult. Not just at Spahr's, but in all the restaurants I worked with. It was some of them, like you said, are here just for a paycheck, and some of them, they don't want to be here. But it's why. Why are you still here then? We talked about pluses and minuses. If you're just going to be a negative, like why stay here? If you're so unhappy. But it's just, you figure out like, what can you do to motivate that person to try to do better? And we at Spahr's, we really want to help people grow. We've seen some employees that we saw something special in them, and we want to help them out. We've kind of watered them a little bit, and they become from a cook to a kitchen manager, or from a server to a front of house manager. So we definitely want to promote from within.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really big on the family. So we really want close-knit family and be able to, train our employees and nurture them and watch them grow.
Mm-hmm. Anyone who are you learning the management side from? You read anything?
Yeah, so like I said, in culinary school, we had some accounting classes and to learn financials, and we do have someone on staff that takes care of our books for us, and we interact on a weekly basis. But it's to understand all those caveats. It's, learn about labor and food cost and product cost and overhead and all the things that happen. It's a business. You worry about the bottom line all the time, and what affects sales is how many people come through the door, and
Mm-hmm.
how to get those people keep coming in the door and keep coming back. That's the real struggle is, how do we keep, we're known for this. We need to be on this every time so we can keep getting those repeat
Mm-hmm.
businesses, as well as like growing our business with word of mouth advertisement. Like, how many times you've heard like, hey, I went to wherever and I had a memorable meal. Oh man, I want to go there. I want to
Mm-hmm.
I want to try out, Grapevine in Downtonville.
Mm-hmm.
It's off the beaten path, but people on the street talk about it,
Yeah.
Well, I want to go there, or, somewhere else, I want to go to Sinclair's because he's having his special dinner tonight. Let's go get some cocktails from Jeff and let's go eat dinner,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, we wouldn't be, we get in a lot of tourists ourselves, and
Right.
they're always asking where to eat. They're
Mhm.
they're asking where to eat lunch, where to have drinks and all of this. And it's just easy. It's just easy
Right.
and honest to say Spahr. Just go check out
Yeah.
Spahr. I don't need to give you a list of places.
Right.
Just start there and then ask your waiter where to go next.
right.
And
And
it's
then
easy.
with us being the Louisiana Cajun Bayou is a great venue for tourism. We do the same. We have guests here and it's like, man, where else to eat? I'm like, if you like beef jerky, you have to go to Bourgeois and pick some up because they have the world's best beef jerky. And then they also have this, and it. And by the way, there's some hot boudin burritos that you have to get. So, and I do the same thing when I travel. It's like checking the hotel and it's like, hey, where you eat for dinner?
Yep. That's the way I like.
I don't want to go to a chain. Like I want to go like where you eat because that's where I want to go. Like give me a Greasy Spoon diner or give me somewhere that
Your buddy's
unique.
mom's number
Right.
that's cooking tonight.
right. It's where y'all eating. Like when we were in North Carolina for the Junior Olympics, we were like, hey, where you guys eat? Well, they took us to this little restaurant that had a whole bunch of beers on tap and some sandwiches, and that was like one of the best hamburgers I had in a year. It was I can still think about it. It was a French onion hamburger, so it was everything that goes in a French onion soup on a hamburger, and it was delicious.
Okay,
Like,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this Louisiana seafood cook-off that you just did. This was, 2 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, it was right about 2 months ago. So every year they host a competition to represent Louisiana in the national seafood cooking contest. It's put on by the Louisiana Seafood Board to promote Gulf seafood and Louisiana seafood, and you have to apply and go ahead and be selected. And out of 75 chefs that entered, I was humble enough to be chosen and went compete, which it was very enlightening. I haven't done a competition in a while, and to be able to be cooking in front of all those people with all the caliber of chefs that were selected was pretty neat. So it was a great experience. I didn't win. However, I was proud of my dish. I would serve it for friends and family in a restaurant. I was definitely pleased with my dish.
Mm-hmm.
The judges liked it, but we didn't win. However, it was cool.
What were the rules?
So the rules were you have to use Louisiana seafood product, and everything had to be done within an hour, and you also have to cook everything there. So all ingredients had to be raw, and you started from raw ingredients, and had to go from there, and you had an hour to go.
And would you cook?
So I did a Zapp's potato chip crusted catfish with boursin and asparagus and Louisiana crawfish risotto with Bloody Mary caviar, and we did a celery oil with
Bloody Mary caviar.
Yeah,
that's what interests me.
Yeah, it's some really cool food science. We used a product called agar. It's derived from seaweed, so it's kind of like a gelatin jello. And we took all the ingredients and the flavors of our traditional Bloody Mary, and we were able to make kind of like boba out of them. So when you bit them, they popped, and it was a Bloody Mary in your mouth. So it was pretty unique. And then the Zapp's Cajun craw taters, we crusted catfish with it. One time we were at the camp, and we were running out of fish fry. So I was like scrounging around.
There you go.
Like, what can I do? Well, I get to have a bologna sandwich and Cajun Zapp's craw taters. So we crumbled them up, and we battered some redfish, and we fried it up. And like everybody was like, "Oh man, this is so good." I'm like, I don't know if we drunk or if it was good.
Doesn't matter.
We were good and drunk. So I'm like, let me try it again. So we tried it a couple more times. It worked out. I did it when I was at DJ's for a couple of weekend specials. Everybody liked it. So kind of kept that in my back pocket. And so I was originally going to do it with red snapper. But then, working for Spahr, and I'm all about humble ingredients, making them, elevating them, and what's catfish, right? It's a humble ingredient that, doesn't get much culinary credit. So I'm like, well, let me give that a shot. And, we tried it out, and it worked. We cooked it a couple of times, and everybody was like, man, it's delicious. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna run with that, and we were, like I said, we were happy with the dish, so it's history after that.
Where'd you get the crawfish?
So we get the crawfish from a packer in right outside of Rain, Louisiana, in Welsh. So we get our crawfish tails from them.
And then you said you fried the tails? How'd you prepare the tails?
The crawfish?
Yeah.
We put them in a risotto.
Okay.
So risotto is it's an Italian rice dish. It's basically a wet jambalaya. And we put some boursin cheese and heavy cream and richen it up with, and also put some asparagus for a little color and a little texture.
And another chef, the Grady V chef, Brent Daigle, he was there too.
Right.
Were you guys like eyeing each other up and ready to take each other down?
So we know each other professionally, and we kind of gave each other like the good luck and I'm going to beat you kind of thing. It's a great camaraderie. We met the day before at a restaurant. We had cocktails and just learned about the rules and learned about each other and all that stuff. And it was a pretty fun, enlightening experience where all the chefs were on the other side of the table. People were waiting on us, not us waiting on them. And, we were able to chit chat and, talk about trends in the industry and, what's going on in your life, in your culinary life, and, how to balance some of the things that are going on, between like what's going on in our profession in general and like what specific problems you have in your restaurant and how to fix that, So we each did a little round table kind of discussion and just shot the breeze for a little bit. But when the day of the competition, it was all business, everybody was like, arr. So, but we all got our station set up and we went outside for a quote unquote a last minute smoke where we did a little quick powwow and wished each other good luck, So
I wonder if everyone was intimidated of the Thibodaux boys. It's hard to imagine what do they see?
Yeah,
when we show up, they're like, "Oh shit, that's the guys from Thibodaux."
Yeah, we were.
That's how I hope it is.
We were above I-10 for sure. We were in Monroe, so and every once in a while I can throw a down the bayou accent at some people. So
Oh yeah,
I was able to hit that, and I brought a pirogue and a whole catfish, so make a little smoke and mirrors, and we had a good time playing host.
yeah.
Bringing what's so great about Louisiana is, one thing is our local seafood.
I would have drugged the whole catfish in on hooked to a jug line.
Yeah. So I had to pick him up several times. The lieutenant governor was like, "Hey, I need a picture with that." So
It was a big one.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. It was like 35, 40 pounds. We got it from our fish market.
Nice.
And yeah, Mr. Redneck caught it like the day before. So it was nice and fresh and just really nice. So I was like, man, we need to bring a whole catfish out there. And we were like, we also going to be making Bloody Marys. So one of the MCs was like, I went to Nicholls. I know all about Spahr. So I'm like, he goes, what about the Bloody Marys? So I'm like, you mean this Bloody Mary right here, mister? And he's like, yeah, Bloody Mary. So it was awesome.
What did Brent cook?
Brent did, I think, a redfish stuff with an andouille stuffing, something like that. And I think it's something that's served at Grady V's every once in a while.
Anything wild? Anyone make anything wild or outside the box? I guess yours is pretty damn outside the box.
Right. It's somebody made some crab meat stuffed pasta. The winner was a simply seared tuna, and he made a really nice sauce and some pickled vegetables. I mean, it was just a different layer of flavors from the chefs. Like we had one guy he owns a smokehouse, so he did like a sous vide smoked grouper and made like a little taco with them. So it was just like a whole gauntlet of like nobody did anything that was like similar or like just like the winner had a little Asian flavor. We had one guy that was like Cajun Creole. We had one guy that was French inspired. We did some, down home flavors, but upscaled. So it was just a whole different caveat of like food taste and food experiences and techniques.
That sounded like it would have been a fun one to judge.
Right. Judging competitions sometimes are great, and judging competitions are sometimes, I did the Big Boys cook-off last year, and by the end, I was so full.
How many entries?
Oh, I think I had like 35 samples of the food. Yeah, that we sampled, and like we had one or two bites of things, but like towards the end, it was like,
right,
I can't eat it. This is the worst buffet ever.
Just start chewing and spitting it out.
Right. I was like, the food was, it was pretty tasty. We had some really good, some not so good, some, middle of the road, but it was like, it was a challenge. It was a struggle coming towards the end, the finish line is like, I don't know if I'm going to have any more jambalaya, or any more of this.
Now, let me ask you this, because I'm thinking about it right now. I'm in a cooking competition. I know what it needs to taste like.
Right.
And it's minute zero and it ain't there.
Right.
You submit it.
Yeah.
Or you pull it.
Yeah.
You throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you do?
So
I guess you can't cop out and not submit it. You have to take the loss, right?
Right. If it doesn't taste like it's supposed to be, I'm not serving it.
I'd rather throw it away.
If it's not right, I'm not serving it. I'd throw it away.
Right. Because when I submit it, I want to bite it and say, yep, this is the best I could possibly make it. Right. And it tastes exactly like I want it to taste. If it doesn't win, it doesn't win. But here's what you need to taste.
Correctly.
Yeah.
Correct. So like, unfortunately somebody burnt a dish and submitted it. And, we took a bite and unfortunately it was like, everybody was like, they burn it. We had some that the rice wasn't cooked all the way.
Yeah.
But in a competition setting, you want to put your best foot forward because you're being judged, hopefully by somebody who knows something when they're looking for, either perfection or, they're judging on a criteria. Did you meet all these criterias? And that's what I'm looking like at. So like, does it look good? Does it taste good? Is it, if you're doing a jambalaya contest? Did they use Paul Ball rice? did they use regular rice,
Mhm.
or how dark is it? Is it, it's, and the theory of Paul rice versus regular rice, who thinks it's better?
Mhm.
It's all those things that have to go in there
Yeah.
when you're judging. So you I guess you have to cook to the judges on some things, especially this competition that I was in. It was, make the best dish, but like we had criteria that we had to cook towards, and it was just making it that way.
Mhm.
So
Going back to the restaurant stuff, and this is a question. This isn't a Spahr's question. This would just be a Brandon question. What are you looking for in a new hire?
So definitely like some passion, or, I interviewed a little girl a couple of days ago that, I really, really hope I can find a spot for her.
Mhm.
She hit all the boxes of what Spahr's is looking for, and it seemed genuine. So like I look for, somebody that's passionate, somebody who's, you can teach a monkey a new trick, but you have to be passionate to like want to learn something, a hard worker, and, everybody answers all the interview questions correctly. It's just,
Mhm.
we like to ask, and I like to ask different questions, like where you see yourself in 5 years.
I'm laughing because I was listening to Brody interview someone this morning, and his question was, "How you like to cook your pork chops?"
Right. In you guys' case, right? So they come in and, hey, I want to cook a steak. Well, what kind of steak you want, right?
Mhm.
So you can tell them, well, I got these ribeyes I can cut, or I can get you this porterhouse. Yeah, well, my wife doesn't like anything that's fatty. Well, how about you try this porterhouse? You get a fillet and you get a New York strip all in one shot. So it's like the best of both worlds. Or, you get a burly man and it's like, you need this tomahawk steak because like that's what it is. Your employees have to be willing to answer those questions, especially in the customer service setting. In the back of the house setting, it's, are you able to multitask? Are you able to work under pressure? Because that's what you're under the whole time.
Right.
We want food out in 15 minutes. Can you do that? Are you able to read something, understand it, read, comprehend, and produce it? Because, we have recipes. You gather all the ingredients. Here's the procedures. You read it, and now you have to do it. How does that work for you? And then, one place that I want to apply to right after culinary school, got my culinary degree, right? Cool. Then he was like, all right, here's a chicken. Here's some stuff. They got a little pantry ingredients. Go cook me something. Like before he even talked.
That's cool.
Like go cook me something.
Yeah.
So he's like, you got 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my interview. What did you cook? How did you cook it? All right, you hired.
Yep. We've done working interviews where there's no talking and, all right, are you okay to clock in right now? Clock in, go to the back, and I'll see you back at 5 and we'll get a feel on if it's a good fit for you.
Right.
Sometimes that's the best. Sometimes, like you said, you got the right personality and they have those character traits that you can't teach. They just need to be there already, and you don't necessarily have the spot for them, but you make the hire.
Right.
You create a spot for them because they need to be on the team. Exactly.
You definitely and especially this day and age, it's hard to find some employees sometimes. It's, or it's you getting bounced around employees where they left because they didn't like it. And then, they thought the ground was greener on the other side. And then next thing you know, oh, y'all hiring because I really want to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of put something back towards you, like what you did as a manager, what you did as, as a business, like why you want to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much why you left is what you think that you coming back has to offer.
Yeah.
So you can understand, like, we're doing stuff right.
Yeah, sure. We do it often.
Right.
we get
Right.
a lot of rehires.
Right.
Do it often.
and
Not afraid to hire. If they're right, not afraid to hire them back.
Correct.
Yep. What do you think were maybe the most important things, not experienced by you, but passed down to you from someone, from your parents, from a mentor, college professor or whatever?
So hard work. My father was a laborer, and he told me early on in life, you can have two jobs, son. You can have one that works with your brain, and they got one you can work with your back. You decide which one you want to use. So, make sure you get an education. Make sure you find something that you're passionate about, and, work hard, and people see like your hard work, your dedication. I worked at places, for a while, and like, I was like, man, this place is just not for me, but I'm going to work there until either I find something better, or, you gave me the experience or the grace to hire me. And, I'm a team player. I want to do right by you because you gave me the opportunity to learn or, to provide for my family. So I'm going to make sure that, I do my best while I'm there, so you definitely gotta put in the work, to get where you are. Be passionate about what you do, and just be a man of your word. It's like the old saying, you're only good as your handshake and your word. That's the only two things people can't take from you.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta just make sure every day that you live all those values and mottos.
Let's go with this as our closing question. What's a dish that you would hope long after you're gone is still being cooked in your honor?
Ooh, so
from your kids, grandkids, or wherever.
I do a lot. Let me start by this answer. So, like, if you telling me that it's my last meal, I'm doing chicken stew, white beans, sauerkraut, and L&N French bread. That's
Okay.
my last meal. But like I said earlier, we have a family tradition of barbecuing. I've started teaching my kids the ins and outs of our barbecue, and I hope like that's one of the lasting dishes that we can do. And then we have two dishes for the holidays that we normally do. One is a cabbage dressing kind of casserole. It's onion, celery, bell pepper, some ground meat, and you smother the cabbage down. You add some rice, and done deal. And the other one is some field peas or jack bay peas. That's one of our family favorites. But
Nice.
Those are a couple of things. And then, of course, pot fried chicken is always key with some good cornbread, greens, and hopefully they'll learn and to appreciate some smothered greens with some smoked stuff from Bourgeois in it, because growing up, like, didn't like eating mustard green and stuff, and my grandpa had gardens, and we had all the greens, and we ate that, and it was not that great. Or like when I was young, I was like, man, that's gross. But now it's like, I need that in my life, So like we try to cook it every once in a while, and my kids are the same way. It's like, that looks like grass. I'm like, yeah, but it's delicious.
Dude, my kids, you put sausage in anything, and it doesn't matter what the item is. It's, Dad, is this sausage? Yep. I love sausage. And then they just kill the dish.
Right.
You could hide whatever you want in there. You put some smoked sausage, they're crushing it.
That's just like my little one. I just got a Blackstone grill, and we made Bourgeois hamburgers. It's all like, man, these are almost as good as the Fireman's Fare burgers. I'm like, bud, these are the same Fireman's Fare. Yeah, but I don't know if it's just the rides. But there's a way better. So,
man. Yeah. Oh, if only we could have a super duper flame broiler at home.
Right. Shit, you can almost make you one,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I would rather create food memories than like be remembered for a dish. Like,
yeah,
I would like somebody to taste something and remember where they were, what they were doing while eating it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's,
Yeah, very cool.
you know, I went to a food show one year, and one of my classmates was sampling some pickles, and he's like, "Hey, taste these." I'm like, not a super huge fan of bread and butter pickles. Well, tasted one. I had an instant food memory of like my great aunt made those pickles.
Mhm.
So I left the table. I called my mom. I'm like, "Hey, you have Aunt May's bread and butter pickle recipe?" She's like, "Probably somewhere." I'm like, "Find it. We need to make some." So we got home. She found the recipe. We made the pickles, and I was like, "I'll be damned.
Got it.
Those are the pickles."
Yeah, that's
You
so
know?
cool.
So
Passion, man. Just gotta find a way to teach it. I don't know if the right thing is to force it into their brains.
You have to force
I
feed
guess
it.
you force it, right?
You have to do it till they break. Like you
Because what's happening at school, right?
right.
They're being force fed
Right.
stuff that we might not agree with. So the things we truly believe in, force it.
Right.
Force it. If
Fake
cooking's important,
You got to.
you're gonna learn how to cook.
Yeah,
That's how.
it's a life skill.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah,
it's a life. You have to eat.
Yeah.
The only thing is different is what you're eating. You
Sure.
know, it's and what's crazy is like especially in culinary school, like we all had the same ingredients to make the same recipe, and so we had say 5 teams, 5 different tastes, and we had all the same ingredients.
Sure.
So it's finding the flavors and the things that are important and letting those shine. So,
Yeah.
and that's kind of just like everything, you find what's important in life and
Yeah.
you shoot for the moon with those, and other things it's like, yeah, whatever,
Yeah. I mean, dude, look at twins or triplets,
Right.
same household. One of them's NASA engineer and one of them's dead on the railroad tracks.
Right.
know?
It all depends. It's weird. You just gotta figure out, how to make productive members of society
Yeah.
and go from there. It's, raising kids it's a whole different ball game, especially this day and age where parenting styles are different and what you see in school and TV and whatnot. And it's like, well, this is the right way, or this is the way we think.
Mhm. Yeah.
And,
Kind of have to take over.
right. And it's like, well, I don't like to eat this. Did you try it? No. Well, how you don't like it?
My kids' famous question is, "Do I like this?" And then my answer is just yes, and then they eat it.
Yeah. Or like,
I don't know. I don't remember this. Do I like this? Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or I don't know if I like this. Well, try it. Like, and I tell my staff that as well. And I've told my staff that 1,000 times. I'm like, I don't eat that. Well, what you mean you don't eat it? I never tried it. Okay. So the worst thing that can happen is you get a napkin, you taste it, you don't like it, you put it in a napkin and you throw it away. 9 out of 10 times, you're going to taste it and you're going to love it. And it's going to be something new. And then you understand and you can explain to a customer what it tastes like. We started using a bunch of Gulf fish from our seafood market for our specials. So, we make a plate for them to taste that and suggestively sell it to our guests. And it's like, I don't want to eat it. Well, you're gonna have to eat it. Like, you're gonna have to try it because like you need to be able to explain like what a hogfish is
Mhm.
and what a hogfish tastes like, which that has become my new favorite Gulf fish. And it's ugly. It's an ugly looking
Creepy
fish.
looking thing.
Yeah, it's an ugly looking fish, but he's very, very tasty.
Mhm.
And it's just in our industry, we always look for something new, unique, sustainable
Mhm.
that we wanna use. And we very passionate about sustainable and supporting our local fishing and Gulf seafood and whatnot. So, that's what we're heavy on in the restaurant. And I find myself doing the same thing is, we're gonna find stuff that like means something and we're going to use it to eat, you know. Like, you guys have been open since 1891. Like, y'all have to be doing something right. So, like, come try. We're making a jambalaya. We're going to get bourgeois andouille and sausage. You know, you just got to use what's local, what's fresh, and just kind of help everybody out. You know, if it's a local business, small local, support them, because, you know, they're your community. And then when your kids need a softball sponsor or a baseball sponsor, you know, we're going to have Bourgeois, or we're going to have Spahrs, or, you know, Rico Reynolds, or whatever is going to be your sponsor.
Yeah. Maybe people don't understand that, though, because you get a lot of requests in from people or companies, and then, you know, you kind of show it to everyone. And does anyone know this company? Has anyone ever seen anyone from this organization before? No.
Right.
Okay. Then we'll pass on it.
You want to support people that support you. Right.
What about the guys that are in here daily, you know? But yeah, I guess they don't really think that far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking on trying things and tasting things, that's so difficult. And I can't fathom why an adult wouldn't try something.
Right.
If you're allergic to something, sure. But if it's that you're afraid that it's going to taste bad, exactly.
Right.
And we started doing these shows, and, you know, we're sampling jerky, and people will pass and say, I don't eat beef jerky, you know, or, you know, I don't like that. I said, have you tried ours? No, but doesn't matter. I don't like beef jerky.
Right.
Look, just try this. Hand them a piece. No way. I'll give you $1 if you try it. No thanks. I'll give you $5 if you try it. All right. Pops it in her mouth, then buys 3 or 4 packs.
Right.
And I don't understand that.
It's just the bias. It's just the bias of not.
Just put it in your mouth.
Yeah. Just taste it. Like, you know, like especially like the offcuts, like oxtail, or, you know, short ribs, or, you know, things.
Dude, blood boudin is the only thing I understand.
Right.
I'm still going to try my hardest to get you to try it.
Right.
It's the only exception. Anything else, if you're an adult, shut up and try it.
Exactly.
The blood boudin, sure, let's talk about it first.
Right.
Let me explain it to you first. But no, so another story, this was a few years ago, like Christmas time, the front is packed. We got like line out the door, and, you know, a teenager with her mom. And I'm bringing some turkey cheese, slap it on the scale for someone, and the little girl goes, ugh. And the mom goes, she's like, don't say, ugh, that's turkey cheese. We love that. And the girl goes, I don't love it. So I'm busy. I'm running around. I'm back and forth on the metal table and all, wrapping stuff with people. And I said, have you ever tried it? And she goes, no way. I never eat that. And I said, I'll give you $1 if you try it. You know, I'm wrapping my stuff. She said, So I go in the cooler, come back out, bring in, you know, sausage for the next person, wrapping, give you $5. She said, nope. Go back in, come back. I did this until we got to $20. And she said, nope, $20. Will not take a bite of it. And they had a guy behind her in line. He goes, I don't want to try it either.
Shit, I'd pay you to try it. Well, speaking of stories, so one time I went in with the boys, and they had a couple ladies on the side of it, and there was somebody on the butcher block, and they had a couple hog's head on the block, and Sawyer was just able to start seeing over the counter, and he's all like, Dad, what's that? And I was like, that's hog heads. They're gonna make hog head cheese out of it. And he looks and he's like, that's where that comes from? And I'm like, yeah, buddy, it's in the name, hog's head cheese. He goes, well, that looks delicious. And the old lady like dropped her sausage and looked at my little boy, and he was probably like 4 or 5, and was like, what'd you know about hog head cheese? He goes, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I didn't know that came from there. You know, and it's just like, you know, now he doesn't eat it because he's Sawyer, but, you know, it was just like, so that's where that comes from.
Innocence is good when it comes to flavor, right?
Yeah. We definitely got somewhere from what we what we had, and especially the people in South Louisiana, we can make almost anything tasty.
Or last longer.
Yeah. We're going to use it from the oink to the boink. I guess that's a good one. A good analogy. We'll use it from.
That's going to be the title of this podcast. Awesome. From the oink to the boink.
From the oink to the boink. So, but yeah, people grew up in the age where, no refrigeration and, how to utilize the whole animal and use it in a respectful way to nourish your family so you can survive.
Yep.
And, luckily we had a whole bunch of cultural influences that were able to like shape our cuisine in South Louisiana. We got the wonderful sausage making from the Germans, and gumbos from our the African portion of the Louisianians, and just a whole bunch of dishes that were a melting pot together from all cultures and all walks of life.
Yep. And we love to, I don't know, I guess we love the nostalgia of the old ways and the, pre-refrigeration, and before we get these items out of luxury and want, it was all done the way it needed to be done. And all the stuff that we enjoy now, these are all byproducts and they don't need to happen. And the cool thing about us is if the economy didn't allow and we had to go back to bare bones, we can.
Right.
Who else could?
Right.
We can certainly go back to smoking stuff just to make it last longer. And,
so what's very popular right now is all the charcuterie boards, right?
Sure.
So all the sausages and all the pâtés and whatnot, that was all the ways to preserve all the cuts, after you butcher the animal, to make it last a little longer.
You saying it wasn't for a pretty Instagram picture?
No, it wasn't. But it is
but
now.
It is.
It's like adult Lunchable, but
now it is.
All the pâtés and the sausages and all those charcuterie items, they were made by necessity. A big animal, you can only eat on it while it's fresh for so long, and then you have to do something else either to preserve it or share it or so it doesn't go to waste. And especially the people in South Louisiana, we don't like to waste anything. Your leftovers become something else and you make something else out of it.
Yep.
But it's out of necessity that those fun things that we enjoy came about.
Yep. And we just got to keep it going, keep it happening, and keep passing down our passions. And that's what this thing is for. That's what this is about. Hopefully you kids can listen to this and learn a lot of things, and their kids and their kids. Right. And that's the goal. Keep this whatever we think is important for whatever reason that we think right now. Yeah. And it might change in 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah, these are like really good fishing stories. Or like going to the nostalgic barbershop and sitting and listening to or even going to Spahr's and coming in the morning and having a coffee and listening to the old stories and the pressing times and things that are funny, especially in the fire department. We have, we've been up 150 years, and we have some gentlemen that are in their 80s, and they tell us great stories, and it's like,
right,
man, I wish I was there.
Sure.
It was they had some good times, and it's like we really wish that, like, one, we want to remember like those stories because like that's where our heritage and our traditions come about, So we, just for prosperity, keeping all the records and, the oral history of Thibodaux and things that have happened, that should be important to somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad like you decided like it was important enough to start this podcast and invite, people that you think are special and know about life. It's important to keep that.
Yep. I'm just learning, man. I'm learning, and then everyone else gets to benefit from things I'm going to get to hear.
You put in the legwork and everybody else prospers. But, again, that's part of being passionate about what you're doing is, somebody else is going to benefit from all your hard work,
Yep. And sometimes you don't know why, and that doesn't necessarily matter just yet.
Right.
You'll figure out why. But yeah, you got that feeling like you need to do something or make a move, make a change. Do it.
Right.
No one's going to do it for you.
It's either going to be a pass or fail, and if you fail, like, you learn what you did wrong. It's a life lesson. So,
all right, Brandon, appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Anytime.
This is fun.
Absolutely.
See you.
All right.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Miracles of Meat podcast. We ask that you share it with at least one person in your life that you think needs to hear it. If you got a little something from it, you got some little goose pimples, or it just gave you some feel goods, send it to someone else. Let them feel that too. And if you loved it, please leave us a 5-star review. That'll really help out. And if you only loved it like 4 stars worth of, please do not leave a review. Same thing with the 1 through 3. Not interested in any of those, only 5 stars. If you have any personal questions or comments about the episode, shoot them over to Bourgeois Meat Market on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll reach back out. And if you have any ideas for any cool future guests, please shoot those over too. We're always interested in hearing who else is out there and what kind of cool stories we might be able to bring into this place. See you next time. Thanks for listening.